Have you ever paused to consider how much energy your home actually consumes and like where that power truly originates?
Mm-hmm.
And what if I told you there's a place where harnessing the sun could not only power an entire household, but also, help resolve a national energy crisis and really contribute to a healthier planet?
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable how a very specific technical analysis, just looking at one house's solar system, can directly connect to these huge national economic and environmental goals.
Wait.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into this fascinating study. It's focused on Kathmandu in Nepal, and it examines a 3 kilowatt peak, or KOB, photovoltaic system.
Okay.
Our main sources are excerpts from a detailed techno-economic feasibility analysis, which is basically a fancy way of saying they looked closely at whether it's technically possible and if it makes financial sense.
Exactly. And this deep dive, it's really all about pulling out those crucial insights in the research, giving you a shortcut sort of to understanding the powerful potential of residential solar, especially in a rapidly developing country like Nepal. We'll uncover some, well, pretty surprising facts about efficiency, costs, environmental impact, and reveal why this seemingly small system could actually be a colossal game changer.
Definitely.
So let's begin by setting the scene.
Right.
Why is solar such a vital solution for Nepal right now? What's the context?
Well, if you look at the bigger picture, Nepal's energy situation really mirrors a big challenge that lots of developing nations face.
Okay.
Back in 2018, Nepal's total primary energy consumption was 0.17 quadrillion B2. And that number has been growing fast, like an average of 7.3% every year since 1999.
Wow, that's significant growth.
It is. And their energy mix, it's overwhelmingly dependent on biomass. That's a staggering 74%.
94%.
Yeah. And fossil fuels make up over 17%. Hydropower, which you might think would be bigger, is only at 3%. And other renewables are less than 1%. And what's really striking is that the residential sector, just people's homes, consumes 80% of all that energy.
80%.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is where the plot kind of thickens, right?
Yeah.
Despite having significant hydroelectric capacity, I think it was about 1,129 megawatts in 2018-19.
That's right.
Nepal still grapples with a peak demand shortage. They're actually importing power from India.
Yeah, that dependency is key.
And there's this huge reliance on fossil fuels, which leads to massive spending. We're talking nearly 300 billion Nepalese rupees annually.
Which was, what, about 2.5 billion US dollars back in early 2021 rates?
Exactly, just on petroleum products and that imported electricity. And that alone contributes significantly to an $11.24 billion trade deficit.
It really brings up a crucial question, doesn't it? How can a country sustain economic growth when it's constantly held back by these energy deficits?
Right.
Nepal's government, they have ambitious targets. They want to boost per capita electricity consumption from 245 kilowatters back in FY 2018-19 up to 700 kilowatters by 2021-22 and then 1,500 kilowatters by 2026-27.
Huge jumps.
Huge jumps, all while aiming for an 8.5% economic growth target. But the current insufficient supply means many households, even if they have access, they primarily use electricity just for basic lighting.
So even with a connection, it's barely scratching the surface.
Right.
Given all this, what does it mean for the role of renewables?
Well, Nepal's existing transmission network is quite limited and, frankly, outdated. This leads to considerable electricity losses just moving power around.
Okay, inefficiencies.
Exactly. And this is where standalone PV systems, right at the household level, can actually ease that pressure on the grid.
Makes sense. Decentralized power.
Precisely. And the government of Nepal has set some bold goals. They want to increase renewable energy's share from less than 1% to 10% and improve electricity access from 10% to 30%, all within the next 2 decades.
That's ambitious.
Very. They're even targeting 100% electricity for everyone by 2023, which is a huge leap considering 1.3 million people currently lack any access at all.
Wow.
But what's particularly compelling about Nepal, and this is key, is its immense natural advantage for solar.
Ah, the geography.
Yes. It gets an average solar radiation varying from 3.6 to 6.2 kilowatt hours per square meter per day. And it enjoys roughly 300 sunny days a year.
300. Okay, that's ideal.
It makes it an absolutely perfect location to harness solar energy, especially when you remember that hydropower supply becomes unreliable during the dry season.
Right, when the rivers are low.
Exactly. The Nepal Electricity Authority is even planning an energy mix for the future, 85% hydropower and 15% solar. So they see the potential.
Okay, so let's dive into the specifics then. This 3 kilowatt PV system in this study, What kind of energy demands are we actually talking about for a typical household in Kathmandu?
Right. The study didn't just guess. They designed the system based on a really detailed load profile of a typical home.
Okay.
It factored in a weekly consumption of about 55,695 watt hours.
That sounds like a lot. What kind of appliances does that cover?
Well, it wasn't hypothetical. It included all the common stuff you'd find. LED lamps, a TV, laptop, fridge, fan, rice cooker, washing machine, microwave, iron, dryer, kettle, even a well pump, smartphone recharging, and a vacuum cleaner.
So a pretty comprehensive picture of real-world energy needs.
Very comprehensive, yeah.
And what exactly is powering all this in the proposed system? What's the tech?
The system uses 330-watt monocrystalline panels. Now, for those maybe not familiar, monocrystalline panels, they're known for being pretty efficient, like quite sleek, made from a single silicon crystal.
Okay.
These particular panels achieve an efficiency of 17%. That means 17% of the sunlight hitting them gets converted into electricity.
And the overall system performance?
The performance ratio of the proposed system is 84%, which is actually really good.
84%.
Yeah.
What does that mean practically?
It means that for every, say, 100 units of theoretical solar energy hitting the panels, the system successfully delivers 84 units of usable electricity. That's after accounting for real-world losses, like, temperature effects, wiring losses, that sort of thing.
Got it. So pretty efficient overall. Now, how does Kathmandu's unique weather play into this? You mentioned the sunshine, but what about other factors?
Well, the data they used from Meteonorm software, it really paints a picture of ideal conditions. That average daily global solar irradiance, basically the total solar energy hitting a surface ranges from 3.6 up to 6.2 kilowatt per square meter.
And it varies seasonally, I assume.
Oh, yeah. In summer, the radiation peaks at 24.76 megajoules per square meter, which, just to give you a sense, is like, well, it's a lot of energy hitting every square meter every day.
Okay.
And Kathmandu also enjoys over 8 hours of sunshine in specific months, April, May, October, and November. Now, this timing is incredibly significant.
Why is that?
Because April and May are precisely when Nepal's hydropower system generates only about half its capacity. The river flows are low then.
So solar kicks in exactly when hydro dips.
Exactly. Solar can directly and powerfully balance that crucial deficit. The timing is almost perfect.
So the sun literally shines brightest, right when the country's hydropower needs that boost. What about other things like temperatures, wind, rain?
Right. Temperatures in Kathmandu generally range from about 2.5 up to 30 degrees Celsius. Now, while really high temperatures can slightly decrease PV efficiency,
Yeah, I've heard that.
the study noted constant low to medium speed winds, particularly in March. They measured around 2.3 meters per second. And this wind actually has a cooling effect on the panels.
Oh, interesting. So the wind helps.
Yeah, it seems like it can subtly increase their efficiency by keeping them cooler. And even with average yearly rainfall of about 55 inches, mostly June to September, July, still gets about 5 hours of sunshine per day.
And the rain probably cleans the panels too.
That's the thinking. It helps keep the modules clean, which is a nice little bonus for performance.
Okay, so we have an ideal location, pretty advanced tech designed for real-world needs. Now, for the really critical question, is it actually feasible for homeowners? You mentioned the study looked at two scenarios, off-grid versus grid-connected. Let's unpack the off-grid one first.
Okay, so from a purely technical standpoint, the standalone system, the off-grid one, it's quite impressive, actually.
So.
It demonstrates the capacity to generate 100% of the electricity consumed by that typical household we discussed earlier.
Fully self-sufficient.
Yeah. Annually, it produces 5,288.2 kilowatts of DC energy, and it supplies a solid 2,999 kilowatts directly to the user. Technically, it works.
But, and I sense a but coming,
Oh, yeah.
Here's where the economic reality looks starkly different.
Exactly. The study found the total yearly cost for this off-grid system, and this includes factoring in 9.9% annual inflation.
Okay.
It comes in at about $1,009.37 per year, which means the cost of the energy it produces is 0.345 per kilowatt hour.
That's quite high compared to grid prices usually.
Very high. And maybe the most astonishing finding, the payback period is indefinite.
Indefinite, meaning it never pays for itself. Why is it so much less viable financially, even though it works technically?
This brings us to a really crucial point about sort of the hidden long-term costs. The study concluded the standalone system is prohibitively expensive, mainly because of the battery.
The batteries.
Always the battery. They need to be replaced every 5 years or so. And that combination, the high initial investment plus the ongoing cost of replacing batteries and other maintenance, it just makes it economically unviable for typical residential use.
Despite working perfectly well otherwise.
Precisely. The economics just don't stack up for the average home.
Okay, but even with those major economic drawbacks, does the off-grid system offer any unique advantages? Is there any scenario where it makes sense?
Absolutely, it does have its strengths. Its main advantage is providing complete independence from the national grid.
Right, no blackouts.
Exactly. Households are immune to the frequent power outages or, voltage fluctuations that can plague Nepal's grid. And it does offer environmental benefits too, estimated to save about 5.0 tons of CO2 emissions over its lifetime.
Which is roughly equivalent to what?
Yeah.
Taking a car off the road for a year?
Yeah. Something like that, yeah. So there are benefits, just not economic ones for most people.
Okay, let's pivot then. Compare that to the grid-connected system. What did the study reveal there?
Well, the grid-connected system presents a far, far more compelling techno-economic case. It actually produces even more usable energy, 5,901.1 kilowatts of AC energy annually.
More energy and it's grid-connected.
Yep, and it achieves a robust performance ratio of 83.8%, very similar to the off-grid's potential.
So what does this translate to financially for the homeowner? How does it stack up against that $1,000 a year off-grid cost?
The difference is, well, it's dramatic. The grid-connected system's total yearly cost, even factoring in the same inflation, plummets to just $250.59 per year.
Wow, that's a huge difference.
Massive. And the cost of the energy produced is only 0.06 cents per kilowatt hour. 6 cents.
6 cents versus over 34 cents.
And the payback period, a very reasonable 8.7 years.
Under 9 years, that's more like it.
And get this, it projects a net profit of $1,992.02 over its lifetime, with an impressive return on investment of 86.6%.
So it doesn't just pay for itself, it actually makes money in the long run.
Exactly. Imagine a system that not only powers your home, but starts generating significant savings, essentially paying for itself in under a decade and then some.
Okay, that sounds much better. And what about the environmental side for the grid-connected option?
Even better there, too. This system is estimated to save a substantial 10.3 tons of CO2 emissions over its lifetime.
Double the off-grid system.
Pretty much. That's like taking maybe 2 cars off the road for a whole year. So it's a very environmentally friendly technology.
So the verdict seems pretty clear then.
Yeah, the study's conclusion is quite definitive. The grid-connected PV system is techno-economically viable, and frankly, it's by far the best option when you have a reliable grid connection available.
But you added a condition there when a reliable grid connection is available.
Right. And that's important. For genuinely remote areas, places where extending power lines would be incredibly expensive, the standalone design could still be a more cost-effective solution overall.
Even with the battery issues.
Even with the battery challenges. If the alternative is spending a fortune on grid extension or having no power at all, then off-grid solar starts to look more appealing despite its costs, if energy independence is the main goal in those remote spots.
Okay, that makes sense. So this deep dive clearly highlights immense potential, especially for grid-connected solar. But what are the main roadblocks? What are the challenges to actually getting this adopted widely in a place like Nepal? It's rarely just about the tech itself, is it?
You're absolutely right. It's almost never just the tech. There are several pretty common barriers that pop up.
Like what?
Well, things like restrictive or just plain time-consuming regulatory processes, getting permits, approvals, it can be slow.
Bureaucracy.
Yeah. Then there are the technical and infrastructural challenges of integrating all this distributed power smoothly into an existing, maybe older grid.
Grid stability concerns.
Exactly. Utilities often have understandable concerns about managing that new influx of power from lots of small sources. Plus, there's often a lack of clear, reliable policy signals from the government, which can create market uncertainty for installers and investors.
Policy instability.
Right. And we can't forget the higher upfront costs for consumers compared to maybe just sticking with the grid or other traditional sources, even if it pays off later. And finally, there's a real need for a skilled workforce.
For installation and maintenance.
Yep, for everything from design and installation to the long-term maintenance needed to keep these systems running efficiently.
Okay, quite a list of hurdles. So beyond just having the panels available, what kind of comprehensive support mechanisms are really essential to make this happen on a national scale in Nepal?
This really brings up a critical point about effective governance and, strategic planning. For Nepal to genuinely hit those ambitious targets, 100% electrification by 2023, 30% renewables by 2030.
Which are coming up fast.
Very fast. Several key support mechanisms are absolutely crucial. Things like flexible financial instruments are needed.
Like loans.
Exactly. Things like long-term credits or low-interest loans, not just for households buying the systems, but also for the companies, the organizations implementing these projects.
Making it easier to afford upfront.
Precisely. The government needs to actively help people access credit, maybe through information campaigns targeting banks and financial institutions, and of course, ensuring political stability, good governance, and critically properly implementing the regulatory frameworks they actually put in place. Policies are no good if they're not enforced.
Right. So it's really about building an entire supportive ecosystem around the technology, not just, deploying the panels and hoping for the best.
That's it, exactly. It also means dedicating proper budgets for these renewable energy programs. It means maybe restructuring institutional frameworks so the regulatory bodies and the private sector can work together effectively, both for promoting solar and providing that vital after-sales service.
Keeping things running.
Yep. And investing in capacity development, training people, and strengthening the institutions involved. And one more thing, maybe sometimes overlooked but really vital.
What's that?
Consumer awareness campaigns. Just educating people about how to use energy efficiently and manage their own systems.
Empowering the end user. Okay. What's truly astonishing here, though, going back to the study, is the potential scale of this impact if it does take off.
Oh, absolutely. The study did a projection. They estimated that if just 100,000 homeowners in the Kathmandu Valley alone installed one of these 3-kilowatt PV systems,
Just 100,000.
it could collectively generate a substantial 300 megawatts of electricity.
300 megawatts from rooftop.
From rooftops, it powerfully illustrates how these decentralized energy systems, driven by individual household choices but, crucially, amplified by supportive policies, can make a significant contribution to meeting massive national energy goals.
Wow. So what does this all mean for you, our listener, tuning in? We've really unpacked how this detailed analysis, just looking at a single 3-kilowatt solar system in Kathmandu, reveals a surprisingly powerful and pretty clear path forward, especially for a nation striving for energy independence and, robust economic growth. That grid-connected option, it really stands out as the clear techno-economic winner, doesn't it? Offering substantial savings, real environmental benefits for individual households,
And at the same time,
while simultaneously addressing those broader national energy deficits, almost like clockwork with the seasons.
yeah, and what's truly insightful here, I think, is how a single, really localized study, when you explore it deeply like this, can illuminate compelling solutions that might apply to global energy challenges.
It's not just about Nepal.
Exactly. This analysis of solar potential in Kathmandu, it's kind of like a blueprint, maybe, for how other developing countries, particularly those with abundant solar resources, might strategically integrate renewable energy right down at the household level.
To meet rising demand.
To meet rising demand, mitigate climate impact, and crucially, reduce their reliance on those expensive, often volatile fossil fuel imports.
Okay, so this really brings us to a compelling final thought, something
Yeah.
for you to mull over. Considering these clear benefits we've uncovered in the Kathmandu case, what broader implications does this localized feasibility study truly have for other developing nations facing similar energy tightropes? How might individual household choices, just people deciding to put panels on their roofs, but amplified by the right kind of supportive policy, how might that fundamentally reshape national energy landscapes, not just in Nepal, but globally?
That's the big question.
Keep mulling over that idea, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.